This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by Greenworks Consults, a company run by a longtime listener to the show, Jason, who's an expert when it comes to helping businesses get better at doing business. Learn more about what Greenworks Consults is up to over at greenworksconsults.com, with works spelled W-O-R-X. That's greenworksconsults.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 928 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We trek up north to Canada for our lead-off headline today, as multinational conglomerate Constellation Brands is bumping up its ownership in legal cannabis giant Canopy growth through the exercising of options from its industry-leading $1 billion investment back in 2017. With this latest grab, which puts $245 million Canadian more into Canopy, Constellation now owns 38.5% of the company, with options to buy a total of 55.8%. New Cannabis Ventures has more details and numbers here, which I'd recommend reading in full if this catches your attention. I think it's notable any way you slice it, given today's general economic environment. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Kyle Yeager over Marijuana Moments picked up on news out of Nebraska about an activist group there that plans to soon forge ahead with an effort to land a medical marijuana question on November's ballot measure, despite the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. While just about every other marijuana-related campaign has sensibly thrown in the towel this year on collecting signatures of support in person, the group Nebraskans for Medical Marijuana thinks it can safely operate using things like disposable pens and by asking its signature collectors to wear masks and to use hand sanitizer. There's no word out on how close the group is to landing the necessary 130,000 required valid signatures. Color me skeptical here. I'm as pro-medical cannabis as you can get, but I'm also very pro-continuing to live, and I don't think the coronavirus is anything to mess around with. There's just too much we don't know about how it spreads. Kyle's story is a good one to read in full today. Grabbing a two-story twofer, Kyle's back with a look at a hearing that's being held today in Massachusetts by state lawmakers to discuss proposed legislation to extend financial support to state legal marijuana businesses, similar to the federal Paycheck Protection Program. The federal government has abandoned the legal cannabis industry even more than it's abandoned other sectors of American society in the face of the coronavirus pandemic, and that's saying a lot, with even ancillary businesses like my own cannabis podcasting company barred from receiving federal coronavirus pandemic support. Massachusetts lawmakers are taking up discussion virtually today on Senate Bill 2643, which would extend paycheck protection to any Massachusetts cannabis company ineligible for the federal program. Best of luck to the backers of that bill, and maybe could we get something like that going here in Maine? Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Greenworks Consults, a company run by a longtime listener to the show, Jason, who's an expert when it comes to helping businesses get better at doing business. In response to all the craziness going on in the world right now, Jason and his team of business pros wanted to do what they could to make things better. So right now, Greenworks Consults will donate $500 to the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona for every project that they book through the end of September. They're already $2,000 into their $3,000 minimum goal, and they're hoping to push beyond that. If you have a marijuana business, you need to talk to Jason and his team of experts over at Greenworks Consults, because they can help you do business better. They make a living helping entrepreneurs and operators just like you tune up and dial in their business operations, which will translate directly into spending less money, which is the same as making it, as you'll have it in your bank account at the end of the month. And right now, when you engage with Greenworks Consults, you're also helping the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona, which will get another $500 donation. please do yourself, your business's bank accounts, and the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona a solid today and open up GreenWorks Consults, with Works spelled WORX. Big thanks to Jason and his team at GreenWorks Consults for the support that helps us keep our news lights running. All right, time for the Blitz. Thomas Mitchell over at Denver Westword has some relatively good news out of Colorado, where state regulators say there's a possibility that curbside pickup could be kept permanently in place after the coronavirus pandemic is over, whenever that is. Like most states with legal cannabis, Colorado regulators have temporarily loosened up laws over how it's sold, and a spokesperson with the state's marijuana enforcement division said that curbside pickup in particular could be kept around using the current power of the marijuana enforcement division, while online ordering would require action from lawmakers to make permanent. This is a storyline we'll see in other states for sure, so probably one you want to add to your list to read today. Bruce Barcott over at Leafly has a worthy new edition of his Haymaker column, this time looking at the case of 28-year-old Mashhad Breeland, a starting player for the Kansas City Chiefs football team, who was recently arrested during a tense encounter with police after he and some friends were smoking a blunt outside a South Carolina gas station. As Bruce points out, if this took place in a state like California or Colorado, which have much more sensible cannabis laws, the chances are higher that Mr. Breeland and his friends would have just been told to stop smoking in public, though there are still plenty of racist cops everywhere. Instead, the South Carolina cop jumped right into drug warrior mode, and Mr. Breeland was arrested, held in captivity for 9 hours, and made to pay more than $2,000 to bond out. Give this one a read today. Marijuana Business Daily has a useful list of the 17 states that allow for the recommendation that patients use medical marijuana over telemedicine. That list has expanded in recent weeks as states have rolled out emergency temporary measures in response to the coronavirus pandemic. If you have any questions about your own state, pop over to this one. Today is a day full of stories you should read in full, as we have another Marijuana Business Daily piece, this time with a roundup of thoughts from various industry leaders on how this year's annual 420 holiday went. In short, business was up just about everywhere, with a few exceptions to be found. This is certainly our industry's strangest year yet, as lockdowns and social distancing have changed up dramatically how marijuana fans and consumers marked and celebrated the day. And I think it's kind of important to have a good handle on how the holiday went in order to better build your understanding of things going forward. So give this one a read as well. Florida politics has an interesting find, as it noted the closing on Sunday of 5 of the 8 medical marijuana dispensaries operated by multi-state cannabis operator MedMen in the state of Florida. The MedMen website gives no details on why the 5 shops were closed, and a company representative did not get back to reporter Janelle Irwin-Taylor, so I'm sure we'll be hearing more on this in the coming days and weeks. New Zealand voters will cast votes in November on an adult-use marijuana legalization ballot measure, and authorities just released the legislation that they will be deciding on. Their proposed measure would allow adults of age the right to grow, possess, consume, and share cannabis, while also setting up a regulated and limited sales and cultivation program. Marijuana Business Daily has details here if you need them. And finally for today, Mary Jane ends our headlines on a relatively good note, as cannabis industry recruiter Vanks said that legal marijuana companies are continuing to hire, even as other business sectors shed jobs due to the coronavirus pandemic. Adult use and medical marijuana has been deemed essential business in nearly every legal state, so there's current demand for both executive level and retail cannabis workers. That's good news to hear if you're looking. Obviously, read this one in full if you are. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, GreenWorks Consults, and to our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.